The Makabayan bloc in the House of Representatives is disappointed with what it sees is the president's meddling. It believes Marcos's advice against the filing of an impeachment complaint against VP Sara Duterte violates the separation of powers between the executive and legislative branches of government. Makabayan stresses that the House is not a rubber stamp of Malacanang. The group of progressive lawmakers also considers PBBM's stand as a sign of weak leadership, quote, in the presence of corruption, death threats, and blatant disrespect of the House of Representatives. Now recall that the bloc's ally, Bagong Alyansang Makabayan or Bayan, says it is already preparing the document to oust Sara Duterte. But this early, Manila 3rd District Congressman Joel Chua does not see the complaint moving forward in the lower chamber. Chua leads a Good Government Committee investigating Duterte's OVP and DepEd for alleged funds misuse.
Mahihirapan po makakuha ng numero pag ganyan po ang statement ng ating presidente. Lagi po naman sa Kongreso, it's always a numbers game. Lahat yan titingin po sa mga pronouncement ng ating Pangulo.
Let's try to make sense of all this political noise. To help us do that is political analyst Dennis Coronacion, who joins us tonight. He is the chairman of the Political Science Department of the University of Santo Tomas. Welcome to The Big Story, Professor.
Hi, good evening, ladies, and thank you for having me here.
Okay, Professor Dennis, at the start of the week, President Marcos said, papalagan niya ang sinabi ni Vice President Sara Duterte. At the end of the week, though, it seems like a change in heart or, in tone, saying that impeachment is a waste of time and that in the larger scheme of things, VP Sara is unimportant. Were you surprised? And what do you make of this?
Well, surprised in the sense that I thought that he was going to be combative through and through, but then again, the president changed his mind along the way. And I suppose this is the typical President Bongbong Marcos that we know of. Ever since the 2022 campaign, he was always evasive of engaging his opponents in a word war and in a political fight. So what we are seeing at the moment is the typical President BBM. Of course, I think I have to agree with him that even though his detractors and perhaps some of his allies think that his recent decision or his latest decision is a sign of his weakness. But for me, I think we have to look at the broader picture. We have to ask ourselves if we are really prepared for this kind of a political fight, which is going to become more and more intense as time goes by. And is Congress really willing to set aside the more important, more urgent problems? Just so they can, prosecute the vice president. So I think, I think that's the president who has already, given a serious thought about what's going on, and without any emotion, probably he said that this conflict, if this is going to go on, it's not going to do us any good.
Well, Professor, do you believe that the president was telling the truth, that he was very straightforward a while ago? Because there are some people who are thinking that this was a fake leak. The text message of the president to who knows who was a fake leak, and baka meron dito nangyayari behind the scenes, ano? Anong basa niyo doon?
Well, we can doubt the veracity of the text message. Pero I think he, in front of the camera, he said something which is related to that one, somewhat confirming the content of the text message. Sa media interview niya, sinabi niya na parang hindi na kinakailangan. Parang meron pang hope doon sa kanilang dalawa ni Vice President Sara Duterte. So somehow, I don't see, kung na-reconcile na yung text message doon at saka yung kanyang media interview.
What I meant by fake is that probably he's trying to do something else. Like he's saying one thing and wants to do another.
Kumbaga, Professor, parang for
Oo.
the optics of it, no? Is he trying to distance himself from this issue? What do you think of that?
Well, we're going to find out later kasi tama naman yun, ano? Kung if there's such kind of suspicion, that might also be true in the sense that, of course, alam naman natin yung politika sa bansa natin, some leaders will say one thing and then they'll do another. In this case naman, even if the president is encouraging the members of the House as well as the other, legislators to, to put an end to this one, baka yung iba dyan hindi susunod. So it's always possible that, some of his allies in Congress are not going to follow his orders. And in fact, yun na nga, sinabi na nga sa news kanina, that the Makabayan Bloc, who has been cooperative in terms of investigating the vice president, has already issued a statement saying that this is some kind of intervention on the part of the executive. That's insofar as the Makabayan Bloc is concerned. We don't know the rest of the allies of the president in the House of Representatives.
Professor, what do you make of the president saying, with all that has been said and done, that this is all unimportant? At diba, the text message says she is unimportant. Then in a statement he said this is, the issue is unimportant and this is just a storm in a teacup. What do you make of that?
Well, that's his way of saying that we should put an end to this, and in a reconciliatory mood, in tone, he is encouraging the other members of the members of Congress to stop or if not do something better. Do not waste the taxpayers' money on the investigations. Kasi totoo niyan, I think at this point, Congress has already had solid evidence against the Vice President. So I suppose the next thing to do there, the next logical thing to do, is to file the appropriate cases or charges against the Vice President. In the proper forum, like the courts, Sandigan Bayan, and so on and so forth. Because if the investigations are going to linger, they're going to, these things are going to distract them from their real job, which is to do laws, amend laws and repeal laws. If this is going to take a worse turn, baka mamaya magkaroon pa ng impeachment, and sabi niya, this is going to tie them down. Tama naman yun, ano? This is going to be a waste of their time. And to what? Just for the purpose of removing a vice president? I think they have better things to do. Kumbaga man, let the courts do their function since they have already collected all the necessary evidence.
Okay, Professor, but we did hear itong si Congressman Joel Chua earlier saying it is still a numbers game. And after the President's statement, sabi niya mukhang hindi makakuha ng numero if that is the case. But for you, Professor, do you think the impeachment articles can still prosper in both chambers? The Makabayan Bloc is still trying to push for this impeachment. What do you think? Considering, no, Professor, 1/3 of votes ang kailangan sa House at 2/3 sa Senate.
Well, I think it depends on the House leadership if they can, if it can muster the necessary number of votes. Given the fact that I think the House Speaker is in control of the House, I think it can get the necessary 1/3 votes in order to pass the articles of impeachment. Kaya naman, although it's not that simple, that would require negotiations. But the next question there is this going to prosper once the impeachment complaint is filed? What about in the Senate? Is it going to prosper in the Senate? Knowing the fact na, syempre, the Dutertes have allies in the Senate. So the Senate in the impeachment process is going to serve as, the court or the judges. The senators are going to be the judges. So we're not sure of the outcome. So probably, what Congressman Chu is thinking is that he's probably asking, are we going to take the risk, knowing the fact that even though this complaint is filed in the House, we do not know for sure what's going to happen in the Senate.
If the impeachment does not prosper, does not happen with the 19th Congress, do you think it has a chance to prosper in the next Congress after the midterm elections?
Well, it actually depends. Like what Congressman Chua said, it's all a solid numbers game. So if the super majority will be re-elected in the House of Representatives, then there's a good chance. And then again in the Senate, we don't know who are going to be elected. If the Senate will be dominated by the allies of the administration party, then chances are, I think, they might get the results that they want to have insofar as the vice president is concerned. So it really depends on the outcome of the elections. How many among the president's allies are going to be elected, or how many of the Duterte allies are going to be elected? Both, in both houses.
Professor, pagdating dun sa rift between our top two leaders, when VP Sara was asked if things could still be mended, she said it's reached a point of no return. But on the other hand, PBBM said, never say never. So parang, ano ba to, Prof, is this both of them playing good cop, bad cop? I mean, what do you think about them mending their ties?
No, but I think we have to look at the two dimensions of their relationship. Since these are politicians, I think the more important part of their relationship is the political aspect. They were once allies, and that alliance had already served its purpose. So I don't think that politically speaking, the alliance would ever be formed again, or the political friendship would ever be formed again. Now, insofar as at the personal level, I think perhaps their relationship can be mended. O pero hanggang doon na lang 'yon. Siguro civil na lang sila. Pero pagdating na sa election, so sa politika, mga political issues, tingin ko hindi na sila magkakasundo unless of course there is a compelling reason or an issue that both parties that can unify both parties again. So, but sa ngayon kasi malapit ng election, it's the election that is dictating their behaviors. Oo, so sa ngayon magkalaban na sila, they're no longer allies. So that will remain the same until the 2025 elections, and perhaps until the 2028 presidential election.
But Professor, it still baffles me how the president said that VP Sara was unimportant in the larger scheme of things. But nung Monday, hindi ko talaga makalimutan that strongly worded video by the president where he said papalagan niya, and also ginamit niya yung mga words na hindi dapat natutokhang katotohanan and yung chichirya. I mean, related to his personality of being a pleasant guy who is conflict avoidant, what do you make of that speech nung Monday?
Well, I think the president was reacting to what the vice president said during the weekend. Na sabi niya sa video, si President Bongbong Marcos, si Liza Marcos, so the first couple, at si House Speaker Martin Romualdez, pag ako ay inatay, so may papatay na rin sa kanila. So he was reacting to a threat. At saka doon sa public rant niya ni Vice President na hindi magandang pakinggan kasi bukod sa threat, meron pa mga mura. So siguro dala na rin ng emotion, the president issued those words, mentioned those words as an immediate reaction. Pero nung nahimasmasan na siguro siya after a few days, medyo bumalik na siya doon sa pagkakilala natin sa kanya na hindi mahilig sa pumatol sa mga ganyang mga word war. So that's why conciliatory yung kanyang
within the
right.
week. Medyo mabilis, ano?
Right. And parang it's two contrasting complexions, 'di ba? The, Vice President was seen very angry, and ito naman si President BBM is, medyo kalmado pa. But in the, kumbaga, perception of the public, meron ka bang masasabi, Professor, as early as now, on how the, public sees this? Is somebody getting more sympathy or anything as such?
Well, I think itong mga events na to, in terms of optics, the Vice President has I don't know, negative yung impact sa kanya dito, from the time that she gave that public grant, kasama na yung threats, it did not really turn out well for her. And I think that's going to do some damage on her popularity and on her reputation. At saka sa image siya as a leader. Because leaders are not supposed to behave that way. They're not supposed to say those words. And they're not supposed to issue a threat against their fellow political leaders. On the other hand, yung kay President BBM, I don't think na yung kanyang strong words, even I think contributed to a good image. And yung turnaround niya later on also contributed positively to his image. Oo, maganda naman. Except of course, tingnan natin if later on yung mga kasama niya, yung mga kaalyado niya sa house ay hindi susunod sa kanya. Siguro by that time, yung accusation sa kanya ng Makabayan Black that he is a weak leader, baka that might lend credence to what they're saying about the president's kind of leadership.
On the other side of this is also what's happening over at the EDSA Shrine. Sinasabi nila maaaring mangyaring EDSA 4. Tingin ninyo, posible yan with the Duterte crowd? And dyan ba siguro napaisip ang presidente tungkol sa kanyang legacy na iiwan niya?
Well, yung EDSA 4, right? I think that's not going to happen. Kasi, well, of course, setting aside yung yung mga bayad na. Yung mga diehard supporters. Saka yung mga paid supporters. Pero yung larger public, I don't think that they're going to join, them in EDSA 4 kung meron man, if ever that's going to happen. Kasi mahirap kampihan yung ang dominant narrative kasi lumalabas sa investigation is that the Vice President is involved or has committed some irregularities when it comes to her disbursement of intelligence funds and confidential funds. So I don't think that any sane person would give support to a political leader na may ganong klaseng issue. So siguro kung iba pa yung issue ni Vice President, hindi related sa corruption, baka maaari pa, may maraming mag-express ng support pumunta sa EDSA. Pero sa ganyang case, I don't think na may mga pupunta to give support to the Vice President.
Okay, but Professor, I also wanted to get your thoughts on the implications of our political tensions on a global scale. We ran a report that foreign investors are supposedly not bothered by the tension between our president and our vice president. But in your opinion, do you think this projects an image of national instability? And in effect, do you think our economic agenda can stay resilient amid everything that's happening?
Well, the foreign investors, foreign companies are not bothered at the moment because the conflict is still manageable. It has not reached its worst point. Pero, of course, since there is such ongoing conflict, so we don't know what's going to happen in the future, if this is going to escalate or if this is going to dissipate. I hope na matigil na to, since the President has already initiated extending a hand to the Vice President. So it's up to the Vice President as to how she's going to react. Ngayon, in the long run, of course, if these things are going to be a regular occurrence in Philippine politics, this is going to create a bad image for the country. which can, of course, drive away foreign investors and foreign companies. O kasi that can be tantamount to political instability. Kapag may mga ganyan mga political risks, natatakot yung mga investors. So maghahanap sila ng ibang stable na mga countries kung saan sila mag-invest. And also, since you mentioned about the economic agenda, most of the economic agenda for them to be realized, kinakailangan ng support from the legislators, kinakailangan ng mga batas. And paano sila makakagawa ng batas kung busy sila sa kung meron impeachment o kahit mga investigations na to. Because these investigations are really eating their time. I don't know kung may time pa nga sila for the enactment of laws.
Well, we have to wait for what the Vice President says in the subpoena given out by the NBI, and hindi po nalalayo sa katotohanan yung sinasabi ninyo dahil nag-headline na nga rin yung statements ni VP Sara on different international outlets.